is that? Light work with the bass on the track, on my face in the back like I'm taking a slap. I need a drink, but it's straight from the tap. And I'm hating the slack, couple man slide around.
Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. So, in the last video that I uploaded, I talked about being more involved with the community, giving you guys videos that you actually want to see, giving you guys videos that I can actually make for you guys that are more personalized, more to your guys' liking. I said that I wasn't going to do any more character breakdowns until people started requesting it or asking for this. And someone actually did bring up a good point. Instead of just waiting for you guys to tell me what to do, I could always do whatever characters are on the banners. Go over Bryn, go over Nella, go over Drakhan. It's a good way to cover all of the bases. And then when I see the base character here, I can always go over the Demiurge character as well, the Demiurge variant of them. And I thought, you know what, that's a really good idea. Just because then I'm able to get videos out for the people who are like debating on whether or not to pull for those characters. Like, is it worth me pulling? Should I pull this character? What role do they realistically play on my team? Do I need that role at the moment, or am I trying to build my team in a different direction currently because I don't need that on my team right now? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build, or I'm not going to build, I already did. I'm going to talk about Drakhan here. Drakhan here is a very strong, hard-hitting, DPS unit that does some tremendous amounts of damage. I mean, look at that. That attack stat is wild. She has an incredible attack stat. She has great crit. And, I mean, I feel like her stats actually fall into a really, really good spot, realistically. All of this falls into great margins. The only thing that doesn't fall into a great margin is her defense. But when you look at this, it kind of makes sense. She's not really going to be defense tanking. She's more of a going to evade tank, if anything. But don't recommend building her like really high in evasion. That probably won't work too well for you. But anyway, getting into this, I recommend running anything that you're going to use to increase your DPS. For example, attack gear. You could also run speed gear if you're worried about her being too slow. You could also run crit rate or crit damage gear. Either one of those are a really good bet, just because then you're going to be able to maximize your damage by either A, getting more crits, or doing more damage with your crits, whichever one you really decide. I realize going over weapon and accessory is arbitrary, because at any given moment you could be switching these from what you're using in PvP to what you're using in PvE. So it doesn't really matter which one you use here, but for what I'm going to show you, I'm going to be using Snow White Embrace because it does plus 40% damage dealt to enemies when she is at max health. And then the Death's Hold increases penetration by 1% when hit. This is just nice because it basically means every time she's getting hit, she's able to ignore more and more of the target's defense. It's a nice little thing. It doesn't really matter too much. Her exclusive equipment, I don't have it quite yet. And I also don't have a talisman on her. My talisman supply is pretty terrible. So I don't really use a lot of talismans just because I haven't seen a huge need for them in PvE content. If you're doing something for like world boss and you're trying to hit that triple S score, I can understand the talismans there. Or if you're trying to go like shoot up to, you know, top 10 in PvP, I also understand using talismans for that. But for me right now, I don't really care too much about talismans, especially for what I'm doing. It's pretty easy, so I'm not too worried about it. We're going to start talking about her skills really quickly, just because to give you guys a good understanding of what her skills does. So Dragon Tusk attacks an enemy. This attack deals increased damage proportional to the number of debuffs on the target and has a 50% chance to inflict Curse. Now, Curse does damage proportional to the enemy's max health at the start of their turn, and it removes when she dies or when the cooldown's gone. The timer, like for this example, it's Curse for 1 turn. There's no way to make this one any longer or any more likely. It just increases her damage. This is a really hard-hitting skill regardless, especially if you combo her with someone like Eternal, and Eternal's going to be throwing down speed, evasion, defense drops, and then, you know, Drakhan here is just going to keep punching it in the mouth and do incredible amounts of damage because you have all those debuffs on them. It's super cool. The other people you could realistically use is you could use like Dahlia or Iota if the boss can be frozen or stunned. You could really mollywop them that way. Trying to think of some other characters. You could get a couple pieces of gear that will do like, inflict bleeding over time. The bleeding over time does count as a debuff, so that would help too, if you really want to just maximize this S1. Her S2 attacks an enemy and inflicts Curse on the target for 1 turn. Guarantees the curse unless they have a high resilience, but it also ignores their resilience, so it's going to guarantee you that you hit that curse debuff. And then after using it, it doesn't trigger counterattack, revenge, or agile response. So you don't have to worry about taking a Gnosis Dahlia counterattack. You also don't have to worry about taking a Demiurge Stella revenge hit that wipes your entire team in PvP. And then you also don't trigger Monad Eva or Nella's agile response because of the curse debuff. I mean, you punch something in the head really hard in PvP with this, you're going to get that curse debuff. So if you don't do enough damage, hopefully that curse debuff does it. But it always gets ruined in case Monad Eva comes in and, agile response fixes all the problems. And you're like, well, there goes that idea. But if you don't trigger agile response with this skill, guess what? You have a chance to kill something in PvP and be done with it, because, you know, you're not getting the agile response, which means when their turn comes and rolls around, they're going to take the damage from the curse debuff, which is super helpful. And then her S3 is Conquering Dragon Meteor Fist, which I think is a mouthful. I would like 1 mouthful of Drakhan, please. Thank you very much. That being out of the way this works is it attacks an enemy. All of her skills are single target and has an 80% chance to inflict reduce critical hit chance. Now, if you max it out, it actually has a 100% chance on the target for 2 turns. This effect ignores their resilience, which is why she's so useful for world boss. A lot of world bosses, if they're not just flat out immune to stuff, they have a really high resilience. Having that really high resilience makes it hard to get those debuffs to stick. She just bypasses it altogether. It makes it really easy to hit these critical hit chance debuffs, curse debuffs, and just really makes the boss have a hard time of existing. The second part of this says this attack deals increased damage proportional to the number of buffs and debuffs. So if a boss is buffing themselves up really high and you're trying to debuff them back down, and you're basically having this buff war back and forth, she's gonna absolutely decimate this boss, because every buff that someone else gets on her, every debuff that you apply, she's only going to be hitting harder and harder, which is super nice to have a character that basically says, oh, you have 13 debuffs on you, all right, you're going to take 13,000 points of damage in a single hit now. Have fun with that. Have a good day. And that would just be her S1. She hits her S3 and you're like, oh, you have 13 buffs and debuffs? Oh, wonderful. Enjoy 30,000 damage? Then I'm just going to punch you in the head. And you're just going to have to take it. Like, I feel like she's the definition of like finding somebody who's not paying attention and just punching them in the back of the head. Like, that's what she does. She just punches people in the back of the head when they start, getting too many buffs or debuffs. So she's good against Calamari, the Calamari boss, because she's just going to tap out her damage incredible on the boss. And I'm actually going to show you another boss that actually works really well on. Honestly, she only has one costume, and honestly, I don't really like it. I love Drakhan, don't get me wrong, but I don't like this costume. I really don't. The stockings are nice. The stockings are nice. I just don't like how she goes from this very tomboy look to this not tomboy. She looks fragile here now. This, she looks like she's about to punch you in the mouth and then ride a motorcycle off into the sunset. This looks like she's delicate, and I don't like my delicate women. My women better not be delicate. They got to be able to be thrown around a little bit, if you know what I mean. That out of the way. We're going to talk about her exclusive equipment really fast. Her exclusive equipment, the Royal Fang, increases priority by 35% when attacking a target that has a debuff. 35% is a lot. I mean, it's 15% behind half of the turn meter, which basically what that does is it kind of almost doubles her speed, but not quite. It's literally probably... Actually, it's a 35% speed bump. I just realized, I was like, it's not even really doubling your speed if it was 50%. Yeah, you'd start at 50, but you'd still be going up, and it would be like a 75% speed upgrade at that point. But at a 35, it's probably close to like 50% speed upgrade to get her to the next hit a little bit faster, which is really necessary for world boss, because that adds up over time. That adds up. I mean, in 10 turns that she gets, that means you get an extra 3 turns. If it's 35% in 10 turns, you'd get an extra 3 turns for her, which is super nice. But we're actually going to be challenging Amadeus. This guy, this dickhead. I don't like this guy. His boss mechanics are annoying to me. I don't like dealing with them. And so we made this team. Yes, we're showcasing both Drakhans on the same team. Shut up. I like Drakhan a lot. This is not the only driving reason. They're both really good for this fight. Okay? So the way Amadeus works is if he gets crits, he gets extra attacks. Which is why Drakhan is so nice, because she basically stops him from getting those crits. Agile responses gives him an increased crit rate. That's this thing right here. It's irremovable, and he just gets extra crit chance. Reduces the duration of buffs. If the attack scores a critical hit, gets an extra turn. This one grants increased critical hit chance after 3 turns after attacking. Prelude of Darkness reduces the effectiveness of everything other than light and dark. When something uses an on-attack skill, grants increased crit rate. Inflicts a random debuff on the enemy after attacking. These debuffs ignore immunity buffs. Prelude of the Waning Crescent. When hit, doesn't take weakness gauge damage unless it has a debuff. Recovers 3 weakness gauge upon scoring a critical hit. Damage taken from anything that isn't light or dark goes down, and then anything light or dark it takes more damage from. And then it has at the end of it, basically when it drops to 30%, you have 6 turns to kill it. He gets to go 6 times, and on the end of that 6th turn, he just kills you, which actually works, unlike the Meteos one. So we just have to be a little careful here. So yes, we've given him increased crit rate, but I'm not too worried about it. Mainly because these characters are pretty solid, so even if they do get hit with a crit, I'm honestly not too worried about it. So we're just going to be trying to stack up these debuffs as much as we possibly can, and just have some fun with it. Yes, that just gave him increased crit chance, but I don't really care. Because there goes 2 health bars because of the curse debuff. Think about that. Now he gets an extra turn because he got a crit. See how this works? Maeva over there just got petrified, which is a little frustrating because she is kind of helpful. She's really helpful for this fight because she lets us to get extra turns because of her dual attack. See, we're just taking debuffs left and right now. Which is fine. We're just getting a little unlucky with these debuffs. Luckily, this boss doesn't really do a whole lot extra if all he does is get some extra debuffs. Because as long as we have Meva here, we'll be fine. We're not going to use any of our chain attacks until later. And the reason why we're not going to is because we want to hold off on that as much as possible. Because if we hold off on chain attacks for the longest time, it helps us do extra damage later when we get into that enraged state. And by waiting until that enraged state to really do it, it makes it a little bit easier to just finish him off. There goes Drakhan doing another 3,800 points of damage because of our curse debuff. That's wild to me. Ow. We're gonna go do this. Having two support characters like Nella and Meva on a team is really funny to me because they both do agile responses that do completely different things. Well, Nella's does healing and then gives, I think, an attack buff. I don't remember. And then Meva is like cleanse, debuff, and here's a little bit of healing, which is really, really nice to have because it just means you're going to get a lot of healing, debuff cleansing, and some buffing, I think. I think that's what Nella's does. I'll double check it real fast because I don't want to give you false information. Sorry, gives action points, recovers health of everybody, and then makes Nella go again faster. Gives her a bunch of priority, which is super nice. I mean, having a support character that gets a lot of priority just from existing is really solid. Bam, 9,200 right there. Now he's enraged. Oh no, he's pissed. Almost like I don't care, because all it means is we have 14 health bars to kill it in 6 turns, which realistically we should be able to do. And that's 6 of his turns, not 6 of our turns. So when we get to like Nella, we're just going to start hitting him with these and seeing how much damage we can really do with these. These aren't going to be like a lot of damage realistically, but it's going to add up. I mean, like, that's pretty sizable damage. 5,000 when Nella could do like 2,000 herself. Hey, he didn't crit. That's nice. Because if he crits, it actually makes it go down to 4, which is really, really annoying. Bam. There's that curse. So now he's cursed again. I'm going to do this with Meva because doing this with Meva actually is a little bit more beneficial because then Drakhan comes in and does damage as well. No crit. Beautiful. Meva comes in, patches us up. He still has some, he's got some debuffs still. I don't think we really need him though, because everybody on this team is wild. And there we go. Team came out on full HP. Bro got a single turn, maybe actually 2 turns of his Symphony, which means that if he both got crits on both of those, he would have actually had 4 turns and would have had 2 turns left on his damn timer, which to me is really, really nice because it just means that we were able to beat that guy with very little problem. It's kind of a DPS check. The nice thing is that the farther you go, the actually easier it's going to be up to a certain point, because you're going to get more time to build up those chain attacks for that enraged moment. And because he drops to 30% for his enraged set, it basically means that at 30%, you have to get enough chain attacks to safely kill him the last 30% of his health in that time period. And chain attacks are the best way to do boss damage. Realistically, it is incredible damage, and it's just wild to me. So looking at Drakhan, she's a fantastic unit. She's aesthetically pleasing to look at. I absolutely love her. Worth pulling every single time. I don't even care. I would pull her every day of the week if I could. In fact, just for the memes of it, here we go. Give me flames, give me fire, give me that which I desire, which is another Drakhan copy. Please and thank you. If this is another Drakhan copy, you have to subscribe. That's the only answer. If it's a Drakhan copy, you have to subscribe. Oh. I mean, alright. Oh, there was somebody else there. Leo, you are not who I wanted to see. Neither one of you. Leo, I'll never do a video about Leo. Nobody likes Leo. Leo sucks. Kappa, alright. I mean, she's down here somewhere. There she is. She's not bad. I mean, I have her at 4 stars. I do have to get her at 5 stars. But still, I said, give me the Drakhan, man. Oh well. I guess I can't complain too much. I did just get 2 3 stars in a single pull, and eventually I could quit pulling Leo, and it being worthless because Leo will eventually hit 6 stars, and then I'll never have to deal with him again. Where is that? Where is that dude actually? Where is he? Did I pass him? Am I dumb? Am I blind? There I am blind. There he is. This little simp. Simp Lord. He's a tier 3 sub. Do you know to who? This lady. He's a tier 3 sub for her. Honestly, I would too. If my wife looked like that, I'd give her everything she ever wanted. If she told me to get on my hands and knees and kiss her feet, I would. Not even gonna lie. I would. But I'd do it to her first. Look at those heels. Put the heel. Hold on, let me. Nope. Nope. Well, wrong button. There we go. Put the heel, the base of the heel, right into my throat. And I'd be okay with it. Anyway, I'm going to end the video before I get too much more weirder, because I could always just get weirder. I hope you guys found this enjoyable. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you find it helpful in your future endeavors. And I realistically hope that you do pull for Drakhan, because I'm here for Dragon Girl supremacy. And so I'll leave it there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.